Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Top Producers Nation podcast. This, of course, is the podcast made to help you become a top producer in your desired market, wherever that might be. We also help team leaders and brokers develop and empower top producers in their organizations all throughout the country as well. We're powered on a local level by the Tampa Bay Real Producers franchise here in beautiful Tampa Bay, Florida, where we feature the top 500 producing agents in the market through our magazine, through our event programs, and our podcasts, including this one, where we feature them on a regular basis. But as you probably know, we are supported in that franchise by a bunch of local, what we call preferred partners that make the entire platform possible. And those are our favorite mortgage lenders and title companies and home inspectors. And today we have one of those preferred partners who's been an OG as part of our platform since the beginning of its launch back in 2018. And that's none other than Barry Lively, one of our favorite people in the world with B Lively Images, real estate videos, real estate photography, all things listing photography. Barry is a man that you'd want to have in your corner to help you showcase your listings to the most effectiveness and how beautiful they can be to be able to get them sold. Barry, it's good to have you in studio, buddy. How are you?
Well, I'm so good that I can leave now after that introduction. I think everybody pretty much gets
we haven't
the
even
message.
dove in yet, so we're just getting rolling here, just getting started. Like I was saying, Barry, if you remember, you were one of the first people that I initially talked to about Tampa Bay Real Producers. I was thinking about that before this episode because we connected in St. Pete back then at the time.
Black Crow Coffee.
That's right, at a little coffee shop. And I showed you a magazine of some other market. I think it was Orlando maybe or some other market we had at the time. And I was
Even
like,
the Snell Isle thing. A little
that
bit
was
of
true. I had the Snell Isle community for sure. We had that going. It was Snell Isle and Tierra Verde at the time as well. And I remember sitting to you and I'm like, we're going to build this real producer thing in Tampa Bay. And I was like, I'm going to need to hook up with some great photographers that can help out with the photo shoots and to make these agents look great so that we can tell their stories in this magazine as part of this franchise model. And you were like, I like this idea. I'm on board. And so
I gave you 3 referrals.
Working together ever since. You hooked me up with some great contacts, I remember, which I always appreciate. And you've been a part of this, really from the beginning. So I want to thank you for that for sure. And it's been fun. It's been a fun ride over the last, 7 years ago now? Almost 8 years ago now, which is crazy to think about. So let's talk a little bit about your story, man. Did you grow up in this area? How'd you get here? If not, for people who don't know anything about you, what's the short version of the Barry Lively story and your influence in the Tampa Bay market?
I'm going to say Tampa Bay market. We arrived here when I was 11,
Mm-hmm.
and we lived in Carrollwood Village
Okay.
in Twin Lakes. And so I grew up there to 18 and then moved out and got into the credit card industry. But I was in the restaurant industry.
Okay.
So started working when I was 15, got into restaurants, worked at a sandwich shop, Old World Cheese Shop. It was a classic in
Old World
Carrollwood.
Cheese Shop. Mm-hmm.
Amazing sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went to CDB's and was totally
Sandwich professional.
Oh boy. There was a hazing going on there in the restaurant world. I was like 15, 16, 17, in high school and there were some people that were some bad influence hombres,
Mm-hmm.
but I stayed, clean as a whistle. Then I ended up working at a bakery.
Is there such a thing, like if you ever watch Seinfeld, they have the soup Nazi in there? Do they have like the sandwich Nazis as well? Is that part of the sandwich community back then?
I got whacked on the butt a few times by a sandwich Nazi but I was on the other side. I was making the sandwiches.
Yes.
And very quickly, it was a very fun, good reference to Rolling Stones. If you like Rolling Stones, there was a sandwich called the Beef and Bird.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you think is on a beef and bird, for God's sakes?
I would think chicken and beef
Or turkey.
or turkey.
You got
sure.
your
That
pheasant
makes sense.
going. So
Uh-huh.
not for me. I would always end up putting roast beef and ham. And then about 10 minutes after the sandwich left, you would hear a car come back in, slim on its brakes, and come in. And then I would hear my boss go, lively, there ain't no ham in beef and bird. And so the only way I could remember that was
For me, there is.
was to remember the Rolling Stones song.
So that job didn't last very long, I take it.
There ain't no ham in beef and bird. I walk for miles, my feet are hurting. You know the song.
Those of
Anyways,
you who know Barry know that he's one of a kind, as you could already kind of as you could already tell for sure. So what eventually got you interested in this crazy world of photography and videography? How did that passion start?
so when I was baking at Lorenzo's restaurant, my brother gave me a Canon AE1 that he wasn't using, and I sort of just adopted it and then kept it forever. And I became a bit of a hobbyist, and a couple of my buddies that were in high school with me uh, showed me the ropes because they were taking photography in high school.
Okay.
And I learned a little bit about composition and whatnot from these guys and black and white. And I just took it on as a hobby and became a family photographer. And at the same time that was happening, I got introduced to the world of MasterCard and Visa, the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So this is 1985,
Okay.
and I leave the restaurant business, and then I go to work for a company called Telecredit. I work with them for 18 years. They become Equifax. Equifax buys them because they want to bring credit information to the point of sale.
Yep.
And we control the transaction flow. But what if you could use credit information quicker at the point of sale, writing a check and turning them into a JCPenney card holder like that?
I gotcha.
So,
and so during those years, you had the photography skill, obviously, and it was something you kind of just did with family. It was a fun type of hobby for a
family.
while.
Exactly.
Okay. Did you start thinking at any point, was it after that career at a necessity that you started thinking, I can actually make money doing this and building a business around this hobby? Or was that always part of the interest?
It was always a hobby until I moved to St. Pete in 2011.
Okay.
My son graduated from high school, and I knew he wasn't going to stay here in Wesley Chapel. And a buddy of mine said, come to St. Pete. That's when the camera came out of my bag after years of not being used. And then I started taking pictures of nature, concerts, and everything in St. Pete almost immediately.
Yeah.
This is September of 2011. And so in 2012, I move into where Janice Live is.
Mm-hmm.
And my balcony is right next to the stage, and people in the crowd are looking in at the stage and our balcony, shooting fish in a barrel, turning the pictures over to the bands. Still wearing my suit and tie, calling on banks, credit unions, buying groups, associations with the credit card side.
Okay.
Again, the camera had been sitting put for, years and years. So
yeah.
Anyway, so I just started cutting.
Was
my
that
teeth.
the first time you started getting paid for the photography, was when you were working with the bands there?
No, I only got experience from that. But the first paying gig I had was before I moved to St. Pete the same year with the Florida Sports Hall of Fame 50th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Put on by Barry Smith. And I got a chance out of the blue. I was going to set them up for credit card processing for people who wanted to buy the publication that they produced and advertising in it.
Yeah.
And I set them up for credit cards, and the guy was telling me,
hey guys, just want to take a quick second here during this episode to explain that if you're somebody who would love to work with the top 500 producing agents in Tampa Bay, just like the one that you see right now during this actual interview, all you'd have to do to learn more about that is go to apply, APPLY, TampaBayRealProducers.com, and you'll see an application there to actually apply to become a preferred partner for the top 500 producing agents here in the Tampa Bay market. We work with some of the best lenders, title companies, home inspectors, different industries, 25 different industries represented right now. You can actually see the full list of them at TampaBayRealProducers.com. Click on partners at the top, and you will see all of our existing partners in this particular franchise here locally. So if that interests you and you would love to work more closely with these top producing agents, you can find that application actually right on our website at TampaBayRealProducers.com. But if you want to go directly to the application, just put the words apply, APPLY, and then Tampa Bay Real Producers. We'll put that link as well in the description. Let's go ahead and get back to the episode.
I go, oh, wow, is somebody going to be videoing that thing? And he goes, yeah, Bay News 9 will be there. And I go, who's photographing? He goes, we don't have a photographer. I said, can I be the photographer? This is like a couple of nights before. And he goes, yes. And I rounded up other equipment, and I got out there and I shot Derek Brooks being inducted.
Nice.
Tony Baselli, all these great Florida athletes or achieved great success in Florida. That's my first paying gig. And I'm like, you can't get any more pressure than that. You're the only Bay News.
Yeah,
9
it's
and
kind of
you.
a high exposure gig as your first one, huh?
Yeah.
So,
600
have you
bucks.
done Super Bowls as well? Do I remember you telling me about that one time?
Covering mainly what goes on beyond the scenes for Super Bowls 21 through 25, or I'm sorry, 16 through 21. So I covered 5 in a row, just mainly like NFL Man of the Year
Mm-hmm.
press conference, halftime press conference,
Nice.
thing called Jocks and Smocks, which is athletes, coaches, retired that are artists that raise money for 2 things: for traumatic brain injury, CTE, whatever. They're heavily into that, and also keeping the older players still alive so they don't have to sell their house for the next brain surgery.
Right.
So I feel there's a little philanthropic side to that,
Mm-hmm.
and a good deed that I did for somebody that gave me the opportunity to do
Yeah, that's
that.
neat. Plus, I mean, if you're, I don't know how big of a sports fan you are, but for somebody who might be, that's kind of a cool opportunity just to be in the mix with that and get to connect and build that network. And sounds like you did it for 4 or 5 years in a row, which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
So you had no background, it sounds like, specifically in real estate, though, right? And working with agents or brokers or anything in the real estate field. Obviously, that started to take shape at some point. How did that work? How did you get that first real estate connection, and when did that become a focus for you?
I photographed my sister and brother-in-law's house in Odessa off of, can't think of the name of the road, but in Odessa. And very rustic house, but my sister had a very modern touch, just mixing the two. And it was, if you were going to ever photograph a house with texture and everything, it was the one. So I made a little website with it, and I really don't know what was the first house after that or how it really got rolling, but it was in the midst of this, the St. Pete Renaissance that was beginning, and the encouragement of other vendors and people I was working with in credit cards. I began to use my credit card as a way to establish rapport, going on a credit card processing call, which I was not great at sales. I was better at sales support. I could help the salesperson become a better, more credible, more whatever. So going face to face, my attention span is all over the place. So I'm trying to talk about credit cards, but then I start talking about the camera, and I would walk in, instead of talking about what I knew about interchange, dues, fees, and assessments, and the next rate changes and all that crap that nobody cared about. I said, I'd love to photograph this place. Your interior is awesome. And I saw that on your website didn't display your food, or didn't describe it visually as well as it shows on the menu on your Facebook or Instagram. So anyways, I'm an amateur photographer. Would you mind if I, photograph the food being made and finalized and being served to the customers and take pictures of the architecture? And they would say, sure. And of course, but I'm dressed like this. And I say, my my profession is, I'm in credit card processing, and that's how I make a living. And bottom line is, the more transactions you do, the more money I make. And I began coming up with the way I would talk in the sales call was, I need you to help me become a professional photographer.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It's
so
a win-win for
obscure.
both of us.
Yeah.
If I can help you to generate more transactions through some professional photography and media and getting that brand a little bit more officially looking the right way online, which hopefully would drive more transactions, then I also win from that standpoint as well. So there's a little bit of a win-win there. Okay.
Yeah. Here's the marketing. here's the business professional savvy, but here's the content for your marketing people to put on the website and do whatever.
At some point, did you pivot from the credit card processing business to focus full-time on the photography side of things? And was that initially a real estate focus, or did that evolve later?
That evolved later. This was just working with these businesses and having that sales approach that I did got me into a lot more doors, because it was a win-win for everybody, as you said. And free marketing, more processing, increase revenue, but keeping your operating expense where it was or maybe lower.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound good? Okay, yes, of course it does. So then I rinsed and repeated, and I got to a point where I was doing a lot of photography, culinary, as well as maybe some portraiture and maybe doing some real estate. But at that point, it was like Greg flipped Ruby's and the cigar bar over to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the floodgates opened, because part of our transaction was me putting the pictures I had taken there on, like, say, jazz night on the walls.
Okay.
And so I was like, Greg, I can't charge you for these because I'm an amateur photographer. I don't know what they would cost.
Mm-hmm.
But I promise you, if you bring your processing over to my company, you'll get a lot more of this. And then we'll turn on the monitors and I'll give you a DVD with the pictures I take during the week.
Okay.
So, it's just like these ideas,
Yeah.
creativity.
What's interesting about what you're
versatility.
saying is one of the things we talk a lot to agents about on our podcast and also just in our online community, Top Producers Nation, is the idea of finding ways to add value, right,
Mhm.
to your clients. I'm a big believer in leading with value first so that you can figure out how to position yourself as different, especially in a competitive industry like real estate, right?
Sure.
And that's really what you did. I don't know how competitive the credit card processing industry is. I'm sure it's pretty competitive, but the ability for you to do something you had a hobby and a passion for in photography and even some videography components, and then figure out how to add that value to these local businesses, while at the same time being able to sell your service of the credit card processing, I could see why that would distinguish you, right? It would give you a little bit of a separate edge. And at the end of the day, that's what people want. They want to see that relationship is going to add value to their business and to their bottom line. And that all makes a lot of sense as to how that started to snowball.
Through honesty and just basically sharing.
Yeah.
We're-
And taking pride in
the
your
more
work
you
and
do,
while
the better we
enjoying
do.
it. You had a passion for it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it was my bottom line. The better they did, the better I did.
Right.
And yeah, would free up that time. So 2014 was, going back to your question, was April 2014. Be Lively Images became a thing.
Okay.
3 years earlier, my son came up with the logo with me having no idea, just a thought in my head in 2011. What would it be? What would be the pillars?
Were you
of
still
it?
with credit card processing at the time?
I was.
Okay.
I was migrating out. It would be 3 years before I got out. And a year before I did, I asked the company, it was called Heartland Payment Systems, big processor. We owned the network. So I just said, I would like to be an ambassador for the company.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to sell, but I don't want to have a sales manager saying you're only as good as your last month.
Mm-hmm.
You're only as good as your last sale. And I was like, that is not the world I want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a last chance opportunity at 47 years old to say, okay, you're in the credit card business for 29 years
Mm-hmm.
and there's a window here, and you've got all the support of this community that didn't know you 2 years ago.
Right.
And let's go. But it was such a natural progression that it was like a red carpet was being rolled out over a bridge that was being built for me
Yeah.
through encouragement that only a child should get from his parent,
Right.
that I'm getting from the community of St. Petersburg on all fronts. And just clearly, that's
Did you
the
ever
amazing
think
thing.
all those years, starting from your early days of the sandwich making shops that you were in through the credit card processing, 29 years that you just described, was entrepreneurship something you wanted, that you knew you wanted to get into eventually? Did you even think that way? Or did entrepreneurship and the fact of really starting your own brand, because for a lot of people it's scary, right? Especially at late 40s to do something completely new for their first time in your entire life, which is to build your own business. That's a scary bridge for a lot of people to cross.
It did happen. That incident did happen while I was in the credit card business after working for one company for 18 years through being Telecredit, then Equifax, then Certegy, and now it's called FIS,
Mm-hmm.
which is on Roosevelt. Going through those three maturations and leaving on a great note, increasing the stock price of a publicly traded company, having an impact of actually seeing a difference that I made was a high. And then I started getting called on by like American Express, Chase Manhattan, to provide my back level sales support model
Mm-hmm.
that a gentleman helped me build who was a master in the industry. who his wife actually worked for MasterCard, and he helped sign on big accounts like Toys R Us. He was a big box guy, and it was kind of like a Trading Places thing. Help grow Barry. What are you doing with this company? And I'm like, I'm just twiddling my thumbs right now in my 16th year with this company. And he's just like, why don't you come over with me? I'm trying to grow this merchant business with people who sell check guarantee services that aren't selling the services we offer. They're farming it out to get relationships. So anyways, I was really good at that, and I left the company. So I get hired by, I get an offer by American Express. They fly me to London for 3 days for an interview that was 15 minutes, knowing they weren't going to hire me. It cost them like $4,000 to fly me over there to meet a quota, you know.
Yeah.
And because the job, I would have had to have been Spanish or at least speak 85% Spanish because it had to do with American Express economies of scale with different countries that could actually push the scale of American Express having to lower its rates.
What went into the decision you eventually made to just leave that industry leave it entirely and focus on Be Lively and where that was going to grow? Like, I'm assuming, were you waiting for a certain income, coming in to kind of give you that security that you knew that you had the ability to go into it full time? Or was it something that you just even decided cold turkey before that because you just felt like it was the right move? What was that differentiation for you?
That question is right on. For me, it was things aren't going so great where I am in finishing my career, and there's a greater interest in the photography. I just went for it. I didn't look at what was in the bank. I looked at, what the opportunities were, and that I could this is the third credit card company I work for, third publicly traded company, and have had great positions. I can get back in that business anytime I want. Time to grow in a different direction. And so it was it. They allowed me to do the ambassador position with the company so I could always promote them and sort of be like what I would like to be in real estate, like a referral partner.
Yeah.
And where I need to get my license. But I might be going a little ahead there. So ultimately that was it. I felt it was when I look back on that red carpet and that bridge, I look back, that red carpet that I didn't roll out and the bridge that I didn't build, it was being built for me by these people and by this whole process and this, going for it, the passion, those magical things can happen, I guess, because I look back and I couldn't see what I used to do.
Yeah.
That quickly. I was like, that's what I used to do. I'm not going to go back to that book of business. I'm not going to call this company and say, oh, can I do your headshots? I moved forward. It was like not a chapter in this book. It was its own.
Do you remember how many clients you were serving at the time with Be Lively when you made that decision to kind of focus on it full time? Did you have a decent book of business on the Be Lively side already, or did you have to build that knowing that it was like time to grow because I'm into this full time now?
The events and the culinary photography, coupled with a couple of listings, I was like, this is a good balance. And I can see that the connectivity, it wasn't just how many people I knew, it was how many people that one person knew.
Right.
That was so forthcoming and willing to say, Barry, people would hype me because I'm doing other photography, street level photography of people engaged in what they were doing. Each picture was worth 1,000 opportunities. By the way, Barry, thank you for taking that picture of me, this cute little look back. Do you do military funerals? Okay. She loved this picture I took of her so much, the day I met her, which was 2 days before. And she said, is it dignified to photograph a military funeral? And I said, well, I think if you went to YouTube, you could see Arlington National Cemetery probably has one, they put them on there. She had me photograph her father's military funeral. I had never done anything like that. Open casket at the church, Catholic church, photograph our father. I'm like, the things that I've been like thrust into by not saying no, by saying, of course I can do that.
Yeah.
But of course, who wouldn't want to do that?
Right. It's an honor.
So jump on it. And And that's why I think
Has the business
I trust in
always
myself.
been one where you're serving multiple types of clients at the same time? I know that we connected through the real estate angle, right? But has there ever been a point where Be Lively was like, I'm all in on real estate specifically, or has it always been this mix of I have events, I have real estate, I have other business owners that I help with as well? Obviously, there are different ways to grow any business, right? So
Sure.
I'm just curious the reality of your story with Be Lively. Has it always been that mixture of different clientele?
Um, it has.
Yeah.
It has, and it's a full circle scenario where, let's say, going back to that logo that my son designed, he goes, "Dad, what is your company going to do?" And I said, "Well, I shoot events."
Which is initially how we connected, I think, if I remember correctly. Like we
Yeah.
did talk about you doing photo shoots for agents, but I think we leaned into you doing more of the event photography for a lot of what we did with real producers initially.
Yeah.
And I remember you coming out to a lot of like what we used to call Thirsty Thursdays. Now we
Yeah.
call them MVP socials. And for a while there, you were kind of our main event photographer. I remember that in the earlier days. And you still do some of that occasionally with events with us. And then you will, I know we've utilized you for photo shoots like the one you're doing with Hunter coming up here soon. And so, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Do you have any personal preference on like if you were to go do an event or shoot a great listing? Do you have a preference either way?
Um, this is where the full circle thing comes in: social, architectural, natural.
Okay.
Those are the three things. They all work together. So I shoot the event, the Habitat for Humanity Gala. Who's there? Builders, developers, architects, realtors, banks. I get to know 400 people over 5 or 6 years.
Yep.
And those people know that I'm not advertising my event services there. I'm in the program with Be Lively Real Estate, Lively Listings, whatever, because the images are important enough to the event planner. Those people are paying $10,000 to sit at a table. You better get all 10 of those people there. You better get the table bought before it's sat at, all the decor of the room and everything, the red carpet, just doing all of that. And these people see me working it and having a good time, and I'm dressed like them. I'm not in a black uniform.
Mm-hmm.
I'm dressed like them, and they are watching me and having such a good time. And it's like, it leads to something.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, hey, Barry, I saw you were in the program.
Mm-hmm.
Networking till it feels like you're not working is kind of what it's developed to.
Yeah. And that's really over the years, I think, how you've built your business, even to this day, right? Is most of your business comes from referral-based contacts, connections.
Yeah.
We were talking off camera earlier about your connection with Phil Yost. I think I initially hooked up with Phil with Compass Title years ago through, I want to say it was through the Rutherford Keller Williams ladies.
Okay.
And some of the luxury agents over there who worked with Phil. But I know you guys are good friends. And then when he was a client with us, we would sometimes see you at a lot of our events with Phil and everything. And I know Phil would also refer you to other people that you've continually worked with and served in that St. Pete community specifically. And just like any agent, I think, who wants to build their business through referrals, that usually is hopefully a strong element of their business is to build that way. But if someone's going to be confident referring you as a photographer or a videographer, obviously they have to have some confidence in the quality of your work. But I also think with you, what's unique about you, Barry, from my perspective, is that it's just your attitude and your personality, right? Like people like your energy that you bring to the crowd, that you bring to an event, that you bring to a photo shoot. And I know for people that when your name has come up, that seems to be the common thread that I hear is like Barry's just a fun guy to be around. So it's one thing just to be a good photographer, and thankfully we have some great videographers and photographers that work with our platform that we have access to. But when you have a unique when you could just be yourself in a fun way and that people would respond to that, I think there's a brand there that you've built over the years that is uniquely you. And that's something I think you should take pride in for sure.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a balance that social, architectural, natural. So
Yeah.
I'm out in front of 400 people, but to answer your question, what would I love more than anything right now? To have a house to myself to photograph.
Right.
That solitude and being able to, hey, I'm going to shoot this one. Like this one is Architectural Digest worthy.
Yeah.
And I've actually been published in that magazine.
Yeah, I think
And,
you were the one who referred to us to a really cool property for an old masquerade party we threw there. Remember?
Oh my God.
Years ago in
yes.
St. Pete.
Lou Albano, great contact, great guy.
Yeah, Lou Albano.
Oh my God. He restored that house.
Now, is that the
was-
Lou Albano? Like the old wrestler?
No. No, this Lou Albano is a little classier. He doesn't have like rubber bands in his nose, and I don't think he's ever played Madonna's father.
Never fought Hulk Hogan back in the squared circle back in those days? Okay. But that was a fun event. I remember we had it at his house, and it was a beautiful, older architectural design type property that had unique stuff in it.
Yeah, he was like, he went like with an antiquer's mind.
Yeah.
And remodeled that house to look like 1926 or the year it was sold.
Yeah.
And that era.
Yeah.
And that Edison phonograph was for real.
Yeah.
I spun a few on that.
Yeah.
It was nice.
No, it was neat. There was some neat stuff in that house. And if I remember correctly, we had a hurricane issue that went through about that same week, and we had to delay the date. So it kind of screwed a couple things up for us, but we still had a great event, and it worked out well.
I think everybody was like, there was a different kind of enthusiasm and euphoria that night.
Yeah.
Because it really was such, like, because everybody dressed the part too.
It was a masquerade. We dressed up for it. It was fun. Yeah.
And I think Jody Avery won my picture.
That's right.
She did. Mask.
She did. Yeah.
I
mean, now you're doing it all full circle. Now you're going to shoot Hunter. Funny how that works, huh?
Well, the other aspect of the business that I never thought would happen was to have my photographic art displayed in art galleries. That's something I think I either put in or left out on the on some of that, more current information of.
Are you in some stuff in downtown now?
Work-life balance all starts with creativity, and it somehow led to 5 gallery showings. One at the small coffee shop location that I met you at, and then it led to a luxury apartment complex that was called the Hermitage downtown, across from Rococo Steakhouse. And they had me 4 years in a row, and I got to put my stuff up for 3 months.
Nice.
And you want to talk about operating by the seat of my pants. I didn't have anything done, and I went to this guy from the Global Sign and Awning. He made 30 prints for me. None of them framed, none of them finished. So it was like they were just sort of like big, high-quality posters of what I perceived in my mind to be my most artful photography.
Right.
And put it out there, and people appreciated it because it was subjective. It wasn't like a surreal painting that they couldn't figure out. Like,
yeah.
Okay, cool. That's a view from the top of the Eiffel Tower looking down, and I've never seen that angle. I don't even know what that is.
Right.
I want that.
Do you have any art in any of the St. Pete locations now, downtown or on Beach Drive? Or there's a bunch of different art studios, I feel like, around there, and museums around there. I was just curious.
There's a few places. Rococo Steakhouse, The Mask.
Oh, really?
When I was still cutting my teeth in 2013, they hired me to do the grand opening of Rococo Steakhouse.
Okay.
I met Rob, and
we did an event there years ago for Snell Isle. Yeah. It's a beautiful restaurant. Yeah.
Sits above the elevator. Yeah. If you don't want to take that little staircase up.
It's been years now since I've been in there, but I remember our event was in like their private, like we had our own private table, and it was actually a sit down event. One of the few times we ever did that. But they brought out like some of their steak options, and they really treated us really nice for the evening. It was a bunch of residents of Snell Isle at that night. Yeah. And
that photo shoot opened. I call him a world famous orthodontist in Tampa, Randy Feldman. I end up shooting birthday parties for these people. They're in their 60s now. Excuse me, adjust a little here. And they're in their 60s, and they're starting to celebrate these parties, the extravagant parties.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm paparazzi. Barry, hop in the Hummer limo. We're going to the Lightning game. I'm going to be the community hero this time. A very philanthropic guy. and I got to do the kids parade on his float and shoot pictures, and then it led me to meeting another actual. I mean, these connections that I make are so far-reaching.
What's the most
They're so
common
special.
thing that you find yourself doing for agents or brokerages? Is it headshot stuff? Is it listings, setting up listings? Is it anything else? Is it like brand type media to just help them position themselves in a certain way? What's been do you have a specialty there at all?
Well, I'd like to approach it like if I was on like a retainer with them and say, for this one now, you'll get 10 listings. But let's say you only get 5 in that month. Well, we need to work on some marketing stuff. Let's update your headshots.
Mhm.
Let's do some street level storyteller video, testimonial, whatever. I will fill that remaining 5 listings with
Other
what will get
content.
me 15 listings next
Yep.
month. That's my mindset. That's kind of global thinking, but it really is. It is right down in the heart of that specific brokerage.
Yeah.
And
And that makes sense to me. I think that's a great package concept, actually. When you do that, do you find yourself usually presenting that to the brokerage or to individual agents within a brokerage?
well, herein lies, my current situation in the real estate market. That it's a tough market, and you got to deal with tough times, and you got to be innovative and creative. So, what I have done with a few brokerages, I meet them when I photograph them through real producers.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of times I've done the whole brokerage, and they've been some really fun shoots.
Mm-hmm.
Have I seen these people other than Thirsty Thursday afterwards? No.
Mm-hmm.
But we had our moment in the sun, and there will come a time where they'll remember that and
Yeah.
they'll call me. And unfortunately, that's not how to maintain a business and hoping that happens.
Right.
The referral business has been 100%. And that is a good lead into this complete saying that says, Jack of all trades, master of none,
Mm-hmm.
although it is good or better than to be a master of one. That's the complete thing, is Jack of all trades, master of none, although it is better
Oh, most
than
people leave that
there's
last part out.
only
Huh?
one. Yeah. So
Interesting.
I feel like through the real estate, I love doing everything.
Yeah.
And then being able to be a crash test dummy most of my business career in technology, new things, new ideas that come my way, but incorporate with the concept that I might have already had, that gelling moment. That happens with bringing the complete package to every realtor, like spoiling them.
Yeah.
And
Are most
I
of the
do.
realtors you work with, are they St. Pete based typically?
Most of them.
Pinellas County, but I know you're open to working with Hillsborough County if need be, or wherever. I mean, I know you don't really usually have a big issue when it comes to traveling if the opportunity presented itself, right?
Sarasota, Orlando, I'll go because I'll be able to make something out of that.
Yeah.
If I could get 2 listings, that would be great and really make my time count.
Right.
Over 100 miles away. But you also have to think that you have a career where you're not going to 10 listings. You have time. Enjoy the time in between. So go there with the mindset you're gonna totally do your best and exceed my expectations, not theirs. I know my expectations are greater. Not in every single infinitesimal detail, but for the most part, I need to exceed my expectations when I
Right.
do something. And so I'll do that travel, and it'll be worth it because it was a challenge. And so I don't limit myself geographically, but I have limited myself from an exposure standpoint to really networking, getting back in with the magazine, doing just the little things. So that
Well, at the end of the day, it's all about relationships,
Yeah.
which we all know, right? In any business, and Real Producers was really built on that premise as well, figuring out opportunities for relationships to start, be facilitated, and to be nurtured, right, over time. Is there anything specific that you feel like people should know, whether specifically, let's say, agents and brokers? That's the majority of our audience, I would say, in the real estate community. About your services that are unique in any way that you would point out. Whether I know you do drone stuff, you're not the only one I know who does that. But are there certain things that you would want someone to know about what they could expect if they worked with you?
Sure. One of the main things is the clock is ticking after they get their contract signed. They get that listing contract, the clock is ticking like never before.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's, they've got a certain amount of days now. So what I would tell any realtor is, look, there's people that can do everything that I can do.
Mm-hmm.
If they do it in one package like I do, that's great, and I'm sure that happens. But the whole concept is, please understand that I am going to do what I do in spite of whatever you think has to be fixed in the house. In other words, if you think the lawn is terrible, that should not preclude me from going there and shooting that listing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get that done for you. And then we can come back, and after the polish is applied, I'll reshoot those things. And whatever the case is, like I want them to know that the turnaround time and what I do allows us to volley back and forth and make sure it's perfect, because I'm giving them a website that I create that has a table of contents and an index that says 3D virtual tour, floor plans, which they should not ever do a listing without, in my opinion, and the photos, virtual staging if necessary. I can also provide the architectural plans so that if they are the buyer and seller side of things, or they have their buyer's agent or whomever, that they're able to talk to the buyer in the buyer language and not upset the egoic mind of the seller by just saying, oh, by the way, yeah, if this was my house, I would have taken that wall down too. I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
We're giving you 85% of what you want. So I'm giving the realtor the architectural files so that they could go from this standpoint and say, so do you have an architect? I see you like this house, and I know we probably agree this might not be a load-bearing wall. This could come down. You'd have your open kitchen format, which is the only thing that's missing in this house. Oh yes, you do have an architect. Great. Well, I can provide you files that will prevent them from having to rescan the house to get the dimensions and everything, and they can go to work right away.
Mm-hmm. Did I hear you say that you provide a website? Is that for each listing?
Yeah, I do a website for each listing.
Oh, that's neat. And so if somebody wanted to check out a little bit more, when they go to livelylistings.com, are they going to see any examples of that?
Yeah, they will. And they'll also get, the full menu. Another service that I think was important to offer during the storm time is to go in and do the 3D virtual tour when storm season is here, so that if we only have one storm, hopefully, and we don't have that storm, but it's not back-to-back storms, you have a beautiful scan of the house that can be given to your insurance company so that they have that on file, and they know that when you send them the Polaroids of their damage or your phone shots, they'll line up and they'll be able to say, yeah, that is 7 inches of water. And just speed up the process in case their adjusters can't get out to the property because it's flooded and it's off limits.
Right.
So I try to do that. I always trying to think, I became a drone operator recently. I had added that instead of farming that out. Now I enjoy doing it. So it's not an expensive separate line item anymore. It's part of the package.
Yep.
And I enjoy doing it, and I will do it for every house.
Yep.
Just like the 3D tour.
Yep.
That's sort of those two minimum things. I need the 3D tour to get the floor plan. So
yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, there's a lot there. So I think I would highly encourage anybody to check it out more at the livelylistings.com is the right site, right, for them to go to. And obviously you can find Barry's information too on our website at tampabayrollproducers.com. If you click on partners, I think his face is like the first face you'll see actually that pops up there under partners. So you can see more about Barry there as well. A couple quick questions just for people to get to know you on the personal side if they haven't gotten a feel already. So do you have a favorite book, author, seminar that you've ever gone to that you feel like has made an impact on you personally or professionally?
I think a good book is Bobby Bowden, More Than a Game. I would say Awkward Family Photos, big one.
What's that?
Just what it implies.
Oh, you mean
a book of awkward family
It's a
photos.
book called Awkward Family Photos?
Mhm.
Interesting.
Inspirationally, from a photographer standpoint, there is a female photographer who never displayed her stuff. Her name was Vivian Meyer,
Okay.
and the most fascinating person. And someone gave me her book, who was the first person who let me put my art on their walls, which I didn't ask. They said, "You're doing this." They gave me the book, and what the book implied, and I found the Netflix documentary on it called "Finding Vivian Meyer" or "Who is Vivian Meyer." Greg gave me that book, and he goes, "This reminds me of you." And by the time I gave him the book back, I finally understood what he meant, and it was, don't go dying without people seeing your work.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman went her entire life doing street level photography that is now in the Guggenheim Museum. It's in multiple cities in the country, and it's like one of the best. All her street level photography was left. She was like a rogue. She was like a little nanny, and she would go town to town, and she would take the kids, and she'd go in the city and take pictures. Some kid in like 2015, between 2011 and 2015, went to an auction. His family wanted these gold picture frames that were selling like crazy at the flea market.
Yeah.
The old frame stuff. And he decided to give $300 for this case.
Case of her photos.
100,000 negatives, never developed.
Wow.
He pieced it all together. Her bus tickets, the houses she went to, they put the documentary together. They interviewed the kids that was like, "Oh yeah, she was really strange. She would take us to weird places." and then, so it was just a great documentary, but the whole concept was great.
And then they turned it into a book.
The book turned into, the documentary turned into, I don't know which came first.
One came first, right?
But this woman is pretty fascinating. They didn't know if she was French or not, but her photography is just it's so ultimately compelling. And the thing I liked about it was a name that nobody referred to.
I like that story.
Yeah, so that
I'll
was
have to check that out.
Don't go dying. Don't go dying.
Awkward
and leave your
Family
best work.
Photos is the name of the book, huh? There's this cool story behind that. I like that. What was the other one you mentioned? Bobby Bowden?
Bobby Bowden, More Than a Game is a great book.
Okay.
I think
Is that kind of like a rules for life type of thing?
It's more character driven than anything else.
Okay.
I think in the development of characters in his players through being the example he was, and not, a poet and a preacher. I guess Bobby Bowden.
Yeah. He was pretty open about his
describe.
faith for sure. He used to talk a lot about that and the role it played in his ability to help coach his kids. So yeah, that makes sense. I always looked up to some of obviously his success, but his boldness when it came to his faith always resonated.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have a favorite movie or TV show?
As far as the most recent TV show that I've watched, Mayor of Kingstown has just rocked my world. They're going into season 5. It's Jeremy Renner, and it became more and more interesting because he continued after surviving this snowmobile accident or this snowplow accident where he was almost killed, and he came back to do another 2 seasons, and it's just that made it more inspiring to watch, anyways. But it's it's a thriller show, but it takes place in Michigan in a town called Kingstown, and if you know Detroit, it's tough, and it's just great. So I watched that show, and recent movies, I saw Backrooms. My son and I went to go see it. We hadn't seen a movie together in a long time, and what we used to do is go to Taco Bell, grab some burritos, stuff those pockets, and then.
How old is your son now?
32.
Does he live in St. Pete?
He was running in St. Pete, but he lives in Carrollwood Village. He bought a house in Carrollwood Village, very close to where I grew up. So
wow, how about that? Full circle, huh?
Yeah, so he's like, "Dad, we're going to go see Backrooms. We have unique tastes in movies. It could be comedy or like this movie, which if you haven't heard
is
about
that a horror
check it
movie?
out.
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, it's a psychological thriller.
I gotcha.
And so Jake's like, he takes this quick right turn. We pull into Taco Bell. He's like, "We're getting burritos," and I'm like, "Not gonna make me cry. Not gonna make me cry."
The tradition stays alive.
Yes, it does. So that was a good movie, and so
I just
love
saw
cinema.
Young Washington recently.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that one yet?
No, I've just.
I
Seen
like the history stuff. I'm a bit of a
seen the
history
10-minute
buff
trailers.
myself. Yeah, exactly. They do have some long trailers. It's a great movie though. They do the kid who's in it. Who, if you're familiar with that Angel Studio, the publishing studio, they also do a lot of faith-based stuff, but they do history-based stuff. They did one on George Whitefield as well, who the old preacher that was a part of the Revolution with Benjamin Franklin back in those days. Okay. So the same actor who plays Whitefield is playing George Washington. I believe it's the same guy. But I was impressed. He did a great job. I don't know if people really recognize how many times George Washington probably should have been killed in the French and Indian War. The fact that he wasn't is, I think many people think, an act of providence that he actually survived that to even make it to the days of the Revolution.
Are saying the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild, some of the stuff that he experienced through those days. But yeah, it was an interesting movie. Worth checking out for sure.
That's cool. The next movie I'm going to check out, sent you a little snippet on it, is my oldest godson, Nick, my oldest brother's middle son, he works with Pixar. He has he is independent, but he works with a group that works with Pixar, and they did the graphic arts, the motion
Toy Story 5,
everything. Toy Story 5.
Yeah, my kids we haven't seen it yet, but they're excited to check it out. I don't know if we're going to see it at the theater or just wait till it comes out on our app, but that's the next one in the series for sure.
I mean, it's a stretch for me, but I'll go ahead and do it because I know Nick, and he had a baby, and she was born on my birthday last year.
You know, I saw somewhere recently that the first Toy Story, I think, came out in '94, somewhere in the early '90s, mid '90s, right. Which makes you feel old, doesn't it? It's like it's been that long already. It's been 20 over 30 something years since that first one came out, and now they're already up to Toy Story 4. Toy Story 5. It's amazing.
Let's check the dates on that.
Yeah.
Let's check the born on date on that.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, we're going to put a bow on our episode. The way we typically do is with what I call our legacy question, one of my favorites. Okay. So when you think about that day, Barry, hopefully many years from now, that you're sitting on that rocking chair thinking about all the wonderful experiences of your life, and you're thinking about what is the legacy that you would want to be remembered for, right? What do you think would matter most to you? Personally or professionally, as far as how you'd want to be most remembered and what that legacy would mean?
Ultimately, a light that doesn't stop shining in some form or fashion when I do leave, that shows itself in a very obvious way, that what's leaving here, the legacy that is left is my photographic art, and that is, the physical remains of me, that show that you were in that moment too. Mm-hmm. That all of these moments that are in this museum that we create with my life insurance policy money that I turn over to you, you start a fund, you get a place that we could start a museum for the insanely creative.
I love it.
And basically their art goes up there, but it's a place where, I want my art in people's homes. So in a perfect world, knowing a question that you asked me earlier, does my art sit in certain places? Whether it's in a bathroom, whether it's in business, it doesn't matter. The most satisfying thing is to know that a picture that I took in a moment that I had, I explained well enough through sharing it with that person directly, and that what they saw in that picture reflected that as well, and it's sitting in their life.
I love it.
That's the legacy.
Well, when I think of uniquely creative, you're definitely one of the people that I think of, Barry. So I appreciate your support over all these years with Real Producers. And it's been great to have you, obviously, not only as a partner with Real Producers, but as a friend, as we've gotten to know each other well over the years. And I know that you're always somebody that when we reach out to, we can count on you to be able to do anything you can do to help. And I think hopefully you realize the feeling is mutual as well. We're in the best interest of trying to help you and make the right connections for you as many times as we can. But we'll put a bow on our episode with a call to action to the audience, the way we always try to do, which is to take action on at least one thing that you heard us talk about today during this episode that would enable to move you forward personally or professionally. Maybe you are an agent or a broker who just feels like you need to up your game with your videographers and your photographers. Maybe you like some of the things Barry mentioned about I thought the listing video, the website that he was talking about that he creates for each listing was pretty neat with all the different services that Barry brings to the table. Possibly you just need to have a consultation just to talk about it. and see what those options would look like for you as well. I'm sure Barry is accessible not only through his website, but as I said, you can find him on our website as well at TampaBayRealProducers.com. Maybe you need to pick up the awkward, what's it again?
Awkward family photos.
Family photos book. That could be a call to action right there. It's something I want to do, to check that out. It seems like it'd be a fun little thing to check out for sure. Or maybe you're somebody who's kind of like been debating as to like, what is my path in my career? So you heard Barry kind of talk about different different moments throughout his journey, and the story of how that went from the sandwich shop to the credit card processing to how Be Lively got started, and that decision eventually that was made to pursue that entrepreneurial pursuit. Maybe that's somebody that's out there that's struggling with the same kind of decision, and maybe it was just that, that nudge that you needed to be able to make that decision to go for it, and that could be you. So whatever it might be, take action in that one thing that maybe you've been putting off. And hopefully today you might have even been sparked by one thing that could have allowed you to move forward in a certain direction. Maybe you need to just subscribe to our podcast. Click the button below. That way you'll be notified every time we drop a new episode, which is weekly. Just click subscribe to get that. And then lastly, check out topproducersnation.com. You'll see our online community. This is obviously for any agents and brokers and team leaders who want to be able to be in a community of other top producers and learn the resources and the free community build-outs that we have in there. We have all kinds of other options to help you build your brands, and there's courses that are included in that community, plus ongoing training calls that we include to just help you become a better agent, help you build the brand that you want, and be the top producer that you should be in your given market. So we'll see you, of course, on our next episode